Hello, neighbor. I'm Robert Burns, and welcome once again to another edition of Sound Off Louisiana. And we are here for segment 4 with Ascension Parish Sheriff candidate C.J. Matthews. And before we start, I want to give everyone a huge thank you from Sound Off Louisiana, because I'm just going to let everyone know I really thought the day would never come when the Ronald Green feature that we did with regard to the Louisiana State Police troopers and the reprehensible text that they sent amongst each other with regard to the arrest and apprehension of Antonio Harris, which was ran by the Associated Press, and they provided a link to our Sound Off feature, and it was published around the world. And I said, well, there's no way that feature's ever going to be overtaken with hits and video views, and I'm here to tell you folks, it's been overtaken. And what I want to emphasize on that, there was no Associated Press that Sound Off was piggybacking off to get all those hits. This was all organic. So I want to thank everyone who has invested the time and the energy to hear out this gentleman as he sounds off about things that happened in the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office, specifically with regard to, just to bring anybody who may be tuning in for the first time, alleged improper activities, actually illegal activities, involving a sheriff deputy and a 16-year-old female that was attending school at Donaldsonville High School. It was clearly inappropriate texting between the two, as well as an attempted meeting, which Mr. Matthews has claimed was intentionally botched in order to get the deputy off. He was then permitted to resign. And it wasn't until later that they actually went in and changed that to a resignation in lieu of termination. Now, when we left off with episode 3, we were concluding the Jeff Wiley regime. Mr. Matthews emphasized that he basically, in his words, when I say his words, meaning Mr. Matthews, basically extorted him into saying that, look, you got to shut your mouth on this whole Fred Corder incident. I'm going to let you go with your full retirement, but I don't need to see you running for sheriff. And he attended one of the last staff meetings under the Jeff Wiley regime. So now we're ready to transition over into the incoming sheriff, who was a very integral part of all of this, Bobby Weber. And in document set 8, we're going to see a letter from Mr. Weber. Once again, just as Mr. Matthews pointed out before, on plain, there's no letterhead here, just on a plain sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. I find that very bizarre, but apparently that's maybe a standard operating procedure there. I don't know. All I know is it says referencing resignation. I'm going to have Mr. Matthews chime in, but about this whole letter and what all transpired as a result of the meeting the prior day. But I would really have more respect for somebody if they called it what it is. It's a termination. I don't care how if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, let's call it what it is. This is a termination. Now, Mr. Matthews, I want you to take over and provide your perspective of the meeting that had taken place that led up to this letter and the letter itself. You take the floor away.
Thank you, Robert. Like you said earlier, after the last staff meeting with Sheriff Wiley, which was sometimes right before Christmas, December of 2018. A couple days later, I'm at my office. Bobby Weber shows up. He bounces up in there and says, hey, now, the official keys to the castle have not been passed over to Bobby yet.
Okay.
That doesn't happen until around January 3rd, 4th, or 5th, sometimes up in that area.
Okay.
So Bobby is still technically the chief criminal deputy. So he bounces up into my office and he says, hey, I hear you had a meeting with Wiley. I said, yeah, sure did. He said, well, I don't know anything about that. He says, but I hear you fixing to take some vacation. I said, yep, going to Deer Hunt. He said, when you coming back? I said, I'll be back January 14th. He says, okay, well, let's have a meeting that day.
All right.
I'm like, okay. So I kind of know what's coming. Mm-hmm. And once again, I've already got my attorney, plus I've got another attorney who is a whistleblower attorney.
All right.
Because if you go back and remember that I've already claimed I'm the guy who turned you over to the AG's office.
Correct.
So I go deer hunting. I come back on the 14th of January, go to work, normal day at work. About 4:30 that afternoon, one of the other guys in the office comes in and says, "Hey, the now sheriff," because he got
inaugurated.
Right. He wants to see you. So we go into the same office where Wiley supposedly apologized.
Yeah.
So we walk into this meeting, and it's just me and Bobby in there. And the first words out of his mouth are, "Why you hate me so much?" I said, "I don't hate you, Bobby." I said, "I don't hate Wiley." I said, "But I hate what y'all did."
Okay.
So at that point, it gets loud, and he starts his thing. And I said, "Hold on, permission to speak freely." "Oh, you got to. So at that, when he gave me permission, I unloaded on him.
All right.
And it got pretty testy for a while.
Okay.
And he was, trying to minimize and discount what had happened. And I said, "Bobby, 1481, indecent behavior with a juvenile. It's all day, every day." And I even told him, I said, you take a deputy who is fresh out of the academy will tell you there's a crime there.
Yes.
I said, and it went on further, and I said, "Bobby, this is going to come back to bite you." And he's, trying to blame it off on the other ones. Of course, you got to understand that Bobby Weber has 0 criminal investigative experience. None.
All right.
Never been in investigations, never been in narcotics, never been in juvenile. He's been a career administrator his whole career.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. I'm glad you'd let us know.
So, and he's referencing it to these other guys that I know that they know better.
Okay.
Okay? So either they're yes men, or they're just telling him what he wants to hear, or he's blowing smoke.
Okay.
So it ends up, he sees he's not gonna back me down or turn me or anything like that. So he says, "Well, hold on a second. Okay, well, look, let me offer you this position in this division." And I'm like, "Nope, I'm good where I'm at."
Okay.
"Well, okay, well, let me offer you this other position in this other division." "Nope, I'm fine where I'm at." He abruptly stands up, reaches across the table, shakes my hand, and says, "I'm sorry we couldn't come to terms."
Okay.
Now, if I had resigned,
If you had resigned, okay.
if I had resigned, here's the big question that the public needs to ask. Okay? And if that's the way Bobby Weber took this as a resignation, which it was not, never mentioned, never said, and it never said I quit, I'm leaving, this ain't for me, go pound sand, none of that.
Well, correct. And just a quick interruption. When people look at the letter, and again, this is going to be document 8, the 2 positions are clearly referenced in the letter, and he says, "I'm sorry we couldn't come to terms. You need to proceed forward with human resources with separation arrangements." I'm close to stating that. Am I correct?
Yes.
So go forward, because a resignation is a voluntary act. I don't see anything voluntary about this. But go ahead.
And here's the deal: the man never graduated high school. Would have paid attention in school and finished school.
Oh.
Which he didn't. Okay? Just a little tidbit for you. He would know that if you resign, you are the one that writes the letter to your employer saying, "I'm resigning."
Yes.
Not the other way around. So let's back up just a little bit. So after the meeting, he shakes my hand. "I'm sorry we couldn't come to terms." Okay. So, and if he took this as a resignation, which it was not, why would he allow me to keep my gun, my issued gun, my commission, my badge, and drive home in my issued unit?
Okay.
Okay? I go home, I'm thinking nothing of it. I get up the next morning, I come to work. Now, I didn't get a phone call, a text message, an email, or anything that night. So I walk into the office the next morning, and a couple of them are in there, and they're Class A's. Apparently, somebody's going to get promoted that day. And I walk in, and in fact, Paul Robert, his face is red as a beet. He won't speak to me. And I'm looking at him like, what in the, and now, once again, my credentials, my swipe card to get in the building is still activated.
Okay,
if I resign. I still got all the keys, all the vaults and safes and everything. If I resign. Okay? So I walk in there and nobody says nothing. So my normal routine, I go into the little kitchenette and I make me a cup of coffee, and then somebody says, oh, hey, somebody's got something for you. So I turn around and it's one of the guys handing me this resignation letter.
Oh.
You need to report to bookkeeping. He doesn't even have the guts to bring it to me himself or call me to his office.
That's that letter that we're providing.
Yes,
oh.
Why would Bobby do that?
I think it goes back to what I referenced at first. You don't have the backbone to call it what it is.
Cowardice, maybe, I don't know. So, anyway, I get this letter and I read it. I'm like, what? I said, I didn't resign. So I'm like, I get on the phone to my attorney. And he says, and once again, my attorney and my whistleblower attorney, they were up to speed on everything that was going on, and they were just kind of waiting to pull the trigger. And he kind of says that. He says, well, you know, if that's the way they're going to play, you just got paid. So I go sit down on my computer and I go to log on to send them an email like my attorney is telling me to do, to say, hey, look, there's a mistake, I'm not resigning. Well, my access has been cut.
Oh, okay.
I can't even log on. So I'm like, okay, so once again, if I had resigned, I still got my gun and my badge and my commission and my car keys, my unit keys. I get in my unit, drive myself to bookkeeping. I go in there and they, oh, we're hearing you're retiring today. I'm like, look, I said, I'm not going to be a horse's behind, and I'm not signing anything related to retirement. I said, if you want to take some equipment back from me and I'll receipt it back to you, no problem. Other than that, we got nothing to talk about. So I do that, and then they call one of the other guys that was a buddy of mine, a guy named Mike Tony. He comes in there, hey pal. I'm like, Mike, we ain't there. We ain't talking pal shit. Okay. Oh well, just put refuse whatever paperwork they were talking about. So once again, at that point, I said, we done here? Oh yeah. So I get up to walk out. I still got my gun and my badge and my keys, and I'm fixing to drive my unit back to the range to get my stuff. So, I got a couple guys shadowing me because I don't know. I guess they're afraid that something's going to happen. So
you might go postal.
So I throw one of them the keys. I said, I don't work here no more. You drive. So they drive me back out to the range, and I go in there. And by the time when I get back to the range, they had taken the whole computer. The physical computer, they're taking it. I don't know what they were hoping to get, but whatever. So they take the whole computer. So now I pick up my personal stuff, things of that nature, which is quite a substantial bit. Load it up into a pickup truck, and one of the guys takes me to the house and drops me off, and there I stay. Well, the conversation back and forth between the attorneys ramps up. And at that point, my attorney says, I'm going to send you some stuff. You copy and paste it, and you send it to them. You email it to them, and all of them. And it was, apparently, it was some public records request that they didn't want to answer.
Oh, okay.
It was, anything related to myself and my termination or resignation or whatever they were calling it, and anything to do with Fred Corder. And, between all of the big wigs at the department. So I'm sitting at home for a couple of weeks, and at some point me and Bobby talked. Apparently, somebody had talked some sense into him, an attorney had talked some sense into him, and said, hey, look, you're gonna write this cat a check. If you don't straighten this out, you can write him a check. Why else would he do it? Okay. Why else would he entertain bringing me back?
Whoa. So you're looking at being rehired, okay?
Oh, I get rehired.
I wanted you to get that one out of your mouth here.
So we talk, and he's like, so his father at the time is in a nursing home. My mother's already died, but they still have the family home there, which is unoccupied. So I said, hey, look, let's meet at neutral ground. Let's meet at Mom and Joe's. Okay. So we go there, and we talk it out. And he's like, now let me back up. Before this happens, okay, we're looking at me and him have a meeting on the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
I come in on the morning of the 15th, and he hands me this, or someone hands me this letter saying I resigned.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the 16th, Bobby takes it upon himself to send a letter to the AG's
And
office.
that's the second document that we're providing to everyone in document 8. And I want to emphasize at this point, please don't forget, we put it in twice I didn't want to say it at the time, but a teaser. The Attorney General's office closed this whole matter in late
October. It was unfounded, they said.
Unfounded. Thank you. Unfounded in late October of 2018. It unfounded. That was the situation in late October. I wanted to do that intentionally, even though it was getting ahead of ourselves at the time. Now we're 3 months later, and you're about to see a document. He's going to reference it, dated, I believe, January 15th, wherein.
16th.
I'm sorry?
I think it's 16th.
16th. Okay, we'll cut me some slack for a day. Yeah, I know you got it all committed to memory, every aspect, every day, every second. But basically saying, hey, look, I understand that y'all are looking into this Fred Carter situation. Haven't ever met you, but look, I'm looking forward to working with you. I'm paraphrasing the letter, but everybody can see it. Looking forward to working with the AG's office. Y'all have the most incredible prosecutorial abilities. I would take strong exception to that, but nevertheless, Mr. Weber chose to flatter them with those words. You pick it back up.
Absolutely. It was a letter of, hey, I'm the new sheriff down here. I'm at your disposal. Whatever you need from us, we'll do it. You know, they doesn't mention that they've already botched the investigation. So now, that happens on the 16th.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously, I'm on the phone talking to Mr. Mitchell. Hey.
Yeah, everybody needs to remember Mr. Mitchell is the advocate reporter. Pick it back up.
Talking to Mr. Mitchell. Hey, never going to guess this, but they fired me. Well, that triggers Mr. Now, I had already spoken to Mr. Mitchell back in November.
Correct.
So we're looking at November, December, 3 months, January, almost to the day. Well, lo and behold, January 19th, he prints an article.
And we're going to provide the link once again. We've done it on 2 previous feeds.
And
We'll
it
do it
kind
again.
of rehashes everything that we've covered, and even the extortion part that we covered. Jeff Wiley's in there running his mouth. Oh no, that didn't happen. Didn't happen. He's such a liar. Okay, and this man wants to be a state representative. I'm going to back off of that because we're not going there.
There you go.
But I had to say it.
All right.
So anyway, the article comes out. Then a couple of days, 2 or 3 days later, me and Bobby talk.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the meeting at our parents' house. And his thing is, you know, this is only going to be about a week in the paper. And he's like, I'm like, so basically it comes to this. I will take the no comment approach if I get approached by any newspaper people or anything else in reference to this.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to work. I think I missed exactly 30 days. Same rank, same pay, except now I'm in another division where he can keep his thumb on me and I'm not exposed to the rest of the sheriff's office. So, and I basically ride my time out there.
Okay.
Which is maybe another, let's see, that was January, February-ish. Sometime in May.
All right.
And I'll give you a little bit about this. So, a buddy of mine who ran for sheriff against Bobby the first time, a guy named Byron Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy. I'm backing Byron. So Byron has his first political campaign. So I go to it. I make sure that I park out front. I'm seen out front with some other deputies that are out there supporting Byron.
Mm-hmm.
Former deputy, should I say. So talked it over with my wife. I'm already going to retire. You know, she's like, you like it, I love it. So that Monday morning, that was like on a Saturday night, that Monday morning, I get to the office and I call the secretary. Hey, I need to see the sheriff. Well, he's not in right now. I said, okay, well, let me know when he's in. I need to see him. Okay. So a few minutes later, oh, the sheriff's in, he'll see you now. So I walk in his office and he's got his back to me. He's looking out the window. And he spins around and he says, hey, I hear you're at a political function this weekend. I said, I damn sure was. He says, well, I hope you can still support me. And I said, ain't no way. And by the way, I'm retiring today. And then once again, for whatever reason, it got a little testy. You know, he's thinking that he's got all this control. Oh, if I'll allow it. No, Bobby, not if you'll allow it. I'm retiring today. I'm fixing to walk out of here and I'm done with this place. Now, you can either write me a check for all my K-time and my annual leave, and I'll buy what little bit of airtime that I need to buy, or you can pay me for all of it, or you can keep me on the books like every other guy that has retired from that place in the past until he runs all his time out. You have it your way. You know, we'll get back in the newspaper again if you want to. So, I don't know, I walked out and everything happened just like I said. I was carried on the books until whenever it was, after I purchased some airtime with the Louisiana Sheriff's Pension and Relief Fund,
And you retired on your terms.
I retired on my terms.
There you go. And I'll tell you what, folks, I want to actually save what we were going to do today and save it for episode 5 because I don't want to cut this short. We talked about the rekindling of the investigation by the Attorney General's office, and I want that to be the focus of segment 5, if that's okay with you, Mr. Matthews.
Absolutely.
So I thought you gave a rather incredible recapitulation of the tumultuous transition away from Jeff Wiley and to Bobby Weber. And it's kind of funny that at one point, look, I don't want to call it this, but I'm basically flushing you, even though I label it resignation. And then 4 months later, when you say, all right, now I truly am. No, you're not. This got to be okay with me. So, I mean, C.B. Fergusson, who was a former blogger who did incredibly short articles, it was tremendously effective. But he had a famous saying, and it was that you can't make this stuff up. And I think that is apropos here. When he first comes in, it looked like we couldn't come to terms. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say I'm firing you. That's what I'm doing, but I just won't label it that way. And then 4 months later, after realizing that y'all got a problem here, you may as well get ready to write a check. Okay, we're hiring this guy back. And then 3 months later, when you say, okay, now I truly am retiring. Well, wait a minute. You can't do that. I got to give the okay. You cannot make this stuff up. So, folks, I want everyone, again, thank you so much for your dedication. And this now is going to be, I've always tried to extrapolate out how many series. We're going to have 2 more. I don't even want to tell you right now what's in episode 6 because it's going to be one that is near and dear to my heart. But I want everyone to stay tuned for episode 5 where we're going to focus in on the totality of the Attorney General's investigation. You go ahead and say anything you'd like to say in wrapping it up.
I have one thing to add about this.
Sure.
Just how devious Bobby Weber is. Now, apparently, the day after I resigned, they had a staff meeting.
Okay.
And, well, whether I hope he understands that, and I've told him this, the department is about 80-20 pro CJ. Okay. And he knows this.
Okay.
That has been out for a while. But in the meeting that he had the following day, he goes and tells everybody that, oh, we tried to bend over backwards and keep CJ, and but he resigned. That was a crock of bull.
And I think the letter
never happened. Mm-hmm. And he, I'm just telling you that as a good measure to tell when Bobby Weber's lying, his lips are moving.
Oh, wow. All righty. Well, with that note, I know we can wrap it up, but I want everyone to hang tight because it's going to get interesting in the next 2 episodes, and we're going to focus in on this rekindled Attorney General investigation. Remember, it was officially closed, had no merit, so I have no idea why you may be rekindling it, right?
Correct.
But the documents don't lie. We're talking about a rekindled investigation, and that will be the focus of episode 5. Thank you once again for tuning in. Thank you, Mr. Matthews, for dropping by again today, and we look forward to seeing you for episode 5.
Absolutely, Robert.